All right, friends. Today in the Katana Tone Lab, we're going to show you how to save your patches so you can leave them to your grandchildren. All right, good morning, friends. Brian here from Guitars and Cigars in the Katana Tone Lab. Happy Wednesday. Hump Day. Hope everybody's doing marvelously. So, we've got another edition of our Katana Klass Room, where we go through all kinds of different aspects of the Boss Katana amps. We talk about making patches, we talk about different effects that are in the amps, the different cabinet simulations, the different types of overdrives, the different types of phasers. I mean, the stuff you can do with these amps is pretty much almost limitless, realistically. It's a modeling amp, so there are some limitations. You're not going to get an exact duplicate sound of a vintage Fender Tweed amp. You can't really fake or mimic that warmth that you get from a tube amp. But unless you're recording or you're a vintage enthusiast, the average person is not going to know the difference. So if you're someone who plays at home like I do, a hobby musician, or if you're someone who goes out and plays at the local bar, gets together with some of your buddies, you play at the local 4-H club, or you're at the local carnival or fair, you, you're going to be hard pressed to have people go, that isn't a vintage tube amp. No one's going to know the difference realistically. So as part of all of this, you go in, you make a patch. And as we've discussed, a patch is basically a small file that takes a snapshot of all the different settings you've done in this amp to get the sound you want. So we've got Alex Rhoads. And then we also did the Black 9, the Dark 80s, excuse me. So those are two patches. The other day we did the 80s Assault. So you've gone through and done all of your hard work. You've tweaked and played and listened to and compared and spent hours coming up with the best tone that you've ever think has ever been made by man, and you save it. You save it in the amp. You go back, for whatever reason, that didn't work. It didn't save all of the settings. For whatever reason, they're electronics. You're depending on your computer to work with your amp. Everything needs to be absolutely in line with Venus for everything to work perfectly. As they say, shit happens. One of the things you need to do is back up your patches. You can back them up locally on your computer, not just strictly stored into your amp. This Gen 3 has 15 locations in your amp that you can save different attributes or different patches so you can recall them if you're playing live somewhere. But like many of you, I'm going to have dozens and dozens and dozens of patches that I've worked on and liked. I want a Randy Rhoads patch. I want to have a Jimmy Page patch. I want to have a Jake E. Lee patch, George Lynch, Alan Halsworth, whatever it's going to be, whatever your cup of tea is, your chances are you're going to have 20 different variations of that person's tone based on song, on style, maybe, at a time in their life. Eddie Van Halen's a prime example of that. If you listen to 78 when Van Halen 1 came out, and then you listen to the last Van Halen album that came out with David Lee Roth, there is a huge change in tone. So a lot of people who are into Van Halen like specific eras. Like I personally like Van Halen 1, I like Diver Down, and I like 5150. I think those are the three best eras for Eddie's tone. Randy Rhoads, unfortunately, he wasn't around long enough, but if you listen to Quiet Riot, because he did two CDs, or back then there were records with Quiet Riot that were Japanese import only. And then you listen to Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, there's a huge change in sound. So you may like the Quiet Riot era of Randy Rhoads, or you might like the Blizzard of Oz, or there was some tone change to Diary of a Madman. You may prefer that. Flying High is a prime example of the amazing evolution of his sound. So as such, you're going to have tons and tons of patches. This is where you're going to have this here, where you've got all kinds of different patches you've saved or you've worked on. So the biggest thing you want to be able to do is save this onto your computer. So much like everything else in life, there's a process for this whole thing. So I'm going to walk you through that process as quickly as I can while making sure it still makes sense. First thing you want to do is go to your desktop, which is here. You want to right click in the middle of it and you want to go to New. Click Folder, and then you're going to be allowed to make a new folder that you can keep on your desktop. I've already got one. I've got Katana back up there, as you can see. So then what you want to do is you want to open up your Katana Tone Lab, your Tone Studio, and make sure that it recognizes your amp. Once you've done that and you're in, this is what the process is going to be. I'm going to read this more or less verbatim to make sure that we get everything right for you. I do this all the time, so I would just blast through and you'd be like, what did he just do? So before you start, you want to turn on the amp, obviously. Connect your Katana directly to your computer via a USB cable. Now for the new Katanas, the USB cable that's used is a USB-C. The old ones, a 2 or older, has the old square style like you used to see with a printer. So you connect all that up, open up your studio, make sure you recognizes your amp. Then you want to go to Library. Go over to Library. Now, I'm going to import one as well so you can see what the process for that is. What you want to do is you go in and you want to create a new live set. So we're going to call that today's date, 26. So as you can see over here, it set up a new live set. Now, there's a couple of things you can do here real quick. This is just to back it up into your Tone Studio here. Is you've made a patch. We've got the dark 80s. What you can do is left click, drag it over to the new set, drop it. That is now imported into your Tone Studio. So now you have it from your amp over to your computer. So now it's in the program itself. All right. Create a new live set. Give it a clear name. I've talked about this before. Naming convention. When you're naming stuff, name it stuff you'll remember. Because if you just call it patch 5, 2 months from now, you're going to be thinking, didn't I make a Frank Zappa patch? That was the name of that. And you open up this folder and you've got 60 patches in there, patch 1 through 60. Good luck. You're going to spend the next hour and a half going through. Nope, that isn't it. Nope, I don't want to be the Edge. Nope, wait a minute, that's Van Halen. Do a naming convention that makes sense to you. So, like I made the Dark 80s. I know what that is. That's a style that I really like. So, that's one of my favorite ones that I've made. All right. So, we've seen how you can pull a patch that you've got on your amp over into the Tone Studio. Now we're going to go find a patch on the Tone Exchange. I've talked about this. This comes with your amp. Once you register your amp, give them your email address, your name, rank, and serial number. That way they can put you in the database, and the CIA, FBI, and NSA will know who you are. No, I don't have my conspiracy hat on. In here, like I said, you're in your editor, you're in your library, go up to this tab, which is the Tone Exchange. This is where you can go in and find patches for you to take and modify. You may find one that you really like and you don't want to change it at all. Great. Keep it in your folders and don't ever change it, and you're done. Not a problem. Go over to one you like, or you can put in a search word, whatever you would like. Click on Epic Metal Tone. This comes up. Click download. All right, so you're logged in now. Back over to the library, go over to the Tone Exchange. All right, I'm suffering from epic failure today. Apparently, I don't have enough of this in me yet. I didn't sleep very well last night. You ever have one of those nights where you just tossing and turning the whole night? You wake up the next morning and you're really feeling the need to mainline some coffee? That was this morning. So, all right. So you're in the Tone Exchange. You found the one that you want to download. You're logged in. Click download. Success. Now go up to the library, and it's now in your Tone Studio. So this is what we're playing now. Click on that. Remember, if you have a Gen 3, you're going to get the 5 to 9 second delay because of all the stuff they've crammed into this. This is what this one sounds like now. Sounds okay. I'm not a huge fan of high treble. So this is what the patch looks like. So we're going to switch over to the vintage. Presence and resonance are good. I'll keep it 75. 75. Bass is good. Bring the mid up a tiny bit. Now this is based on how I've made patches before. So we're using a tube screamer. A little bit more low end. Now I'm going to go up to the lead position. Perfect. I'm going to change up the variation, which changes your tone settings. Brightens it up a little bit. I'm going to go over to contour. Adds in a little bit of low end. Tightens it up a little bit, I think. So, and then there's the yellow. Actually, sounds pretty good. Bring that up to 50. And I'm going to add in a little bit of chorus here on the FX. As we all know, I like chorus. Oh yeah, real quick, I should go over this too. So this is my new Chill Cat limited Les Paul custom. They call it the Unicorn Series guitar. It is in vintage white. It looks a lot whiter on camera than it actually is. It's got a little bit of a creamy note to it. It's not the 74 Les Paul Custom of Randy Rhoads, but it's certainly off-white. The other thing I'm running now is I'm not using my wireless, is I have gotten a couple of cables from Happy Cables. And I want to thank Kyle for providing a couple of cables for me to try, run through. And so far, I really like them. As you can see, this is very green, like my new guitar I bought, the SBS guitar I bought. And I also got a purple one, which is a 15-foot. This is a 10-foot, which is really all I need, as my amp is basically sitting in my lap. So this is the second guitar that I've gotten from Chillcat. I have a vintage series Les Paul as well, which I absolutely love. I like this as much as I like that one. This is a fantastic playing guitar. If you're looking for something that is fiscally minded, that plays absolutely beyond its price point, sounds way past its price point, take a hard look at Chillcat guitars. And the other thing is, if you're looking for cables, Kyle's a smaller company, Happy Cables, really high quality stuff here. So just putting that out there. Not a paid spokesman for anybody. No one's paying me to do any of this. I just like this equipment, so I'm going to advocate for it. All right, so we've got that. So we just did a quick mod on this patch. I'm going to go back over to library, up to the editor, back to the editor, excuse me. We're going to click write. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick, I'm going to put this onto channel 1. I'm going to get rid of the chunky brown. And I'm going to call this, just for an example for today, 2926. I'll know what this is because we're doing it here live and I'll know. So we're going to write that to. Now we are dark. Go back up to this. Now you've saved that patch in your amp. So you're out playing live somewhere, you've got your foot switch, or you're just doing it manually off of the panel, you can now recall that patch. This is how I do it. I'll then go over to library, and I'm going to drop it into the Epic Metal Tone live set that we made. Click OK. I'm going to move this one over to, we'll just drop this over to my shit for now. I'm going to dump this. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to go over to upload. We're going to export this. We're going to export that live set, which has got that one tone in it, and we're going to click it to a file. Now we're in my, what did I name it? Stand by. Oh, Katana Backup. Durr. Okay. So we're going to find Katana Backup. We're going to double click on the folder itself. If you see down here, the name of the new patch is here, and it saves as a TSL file, which is basically like a Word file, a doc file, or a PDF. You see blah, 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 .pdf. Same thing. This is the program's file that it uses to recall all of this. Then you hit save. That's it. Go into this. Let me bring it back over to this. And there it is. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to delete that. All right, so we've deleted that file from the Tone Studio. We're going to go over to here, which is your upload. You're going to double click that. You're going to go to File. This would import from the amp, which you can do from dragging and dropping as well. Click File. And if you were in a different folder, you would just go over to Desktop, double click, brings you back to your saved folder. Wherever you want to put your saved folder in your computer doesn't make a difference, as long as you remember where it is. Double click on it. Now it's come in from your computer and is now back in your Tone Studio. So we're in the dark 90s here. Click on that. Again, you've got your 5 to 9 second delay, depending exactly how everything's set up. So we're back in, and as you can see, all of your settings have been saved. So now you have that patch forever. What I do is I'll have the Katana backup, and I'll have 3 or 4 folders. Working, save. Maybe I'll have an Eddie Van Halen. Maybe I'll have a Metallica. Maybe I'll have a Stevie Ray Vaughan. Whatever convention works for you is what you need to set up. So that's how to back up your patches once you've gone through, made all your changes. You're more than happy with that, and you want to keep it so you can bring it up later. Or if you change amps, you want to be able to load up on a new amp. Your buddy's coming over, you want to be able to load it up on his amp, whatever you want to do with it. That's really what this is for. And then you can also pull it up, modify it, and just give it a different naming convention. You could have Zach Phase 2. And then you can recall, all right, I've done this. Here's my first one. Here's my second one. Oh, yeah, I gave it more bottom end, and I changed to a modern cab. Okay. And you'll be able to see all that, obviously, because you've got all of your settings here. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. That's how you save patches onto your computer, and that's also how you upload them onto your Tone Studio. All right, so now you've got your patches in your Tone Studio. You've tweaked it, you've done what you want to do to it. Now you want to put it onto your amp. Okay, we're going to go into Editor. We're in. It's kind of a swell, and I put an octave on it as well. Now what we want to do is we're going to write this. So you've got what you've got here. You're going to write it. Pick on your amp where you want to put it. And I'm going to put it into A channel 3. Got the name. Write it. Now I'm in the amp. That patch is now in the amp. Now, if you've got a foot pedal set up, which I don't have because I do everything through the computer and I don't play live, so it's not really that important to me. You can have your channels set up where you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, hit to the bank, go to the next 1, 2, 3, and 4, hit to the bank, go to the next 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it will bounce you through your presets that you have in your amp. So it works great. I had the pedal years ago when I had a Gen 1 Katana, and then I had gotten rid of it and I didn't need the pedal, so that went with it as well. So now we've got Octo Smell, we've got Phased, got the Church Brown, and as you see, I'm changing, your parameters are changing as you're going from patch to patch. Down to the dark 80s. click, 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 so that's how that all works if you were running your pedal. Every time you click, some of you may know how pedals work. I apologize if you do, but that'll bounce you through. And then with some of the pedals they have, you can go up and down banks. There are other pedals out there you can set up, like a MIDI pedal, that you can do all kinds of stuff. Volume swells and the whole nine. I mean, this amp is really unlimited. So, all right, sorry, I kind of went off topic a little bit. So, we just learned how to save your patches so you have them forever. Fantastic. Brian here from Guitars and Cigars and the Katana Tone Lab. This has been another installment of our Katana Klass Room. We're going to learn how to use this monstrosity and get the most out of it. We really appreciate you checking out our stuff. We are on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on X. I have 2 channels. We have Guitars and Cigars, and we have the Boss Katana Tone Lab. If you like what you're getting here, you're getting some information you're finding useful, you think I'm a goofball, whatever it may be, please like and comment on whatever social you happen to be watching us on. If you really like what's going on, you're really getting some information out of it that you like, please subscribe to both channels, or at least one. Would make me really happy if you did for both. But I'll take whatever you guys are willing to do. I really appreciate the fact that you take some time out of your day. Everybody's busy, and the fact that you're willing to sit and listen to some of this really makes my heart feel big and warm. So Brian here from Guitars and Cigars and the Katana Tone Lab. Smoke long, play loud, live well.